exactly where you're indoors, where there are large groups of people, and that is why those measures are currently in place.
Rescue teams searching for a missing woman in the Coomera Mountains in County Waterford have discovered a body. The woman in her 30s failed to return from a walk on Sunday when heavy cloud descended. South East Mountain Rescue, the Civil Defence and a Coast Guard helicopter have all been involved in the search. Gardaí say they've sealed off the scene of the discovery. A man is due back in court later this week, having been charged with the murder of his 24-year-old girlfriend in North Dublin. Mother of two, Jennifer Poole, died after being stabbed at her apartment in Finglas on Saturday afternoon. The court heard Gavin Murphy of Coultry Drive in Ballymun made no reply when he was charged just after midnight at Finglas Garda Station. He's been remanded in custody. And closing arguments are being heard in the trial of Derek Chauvin, who denies murdering George Floyd in Minneapolis last May. Defence lawyer Eric Nelson told the jury to look carefully at the evidence.
Start from the point of the presumption of innocence and see how far the state can get. I submit to you that the state has failed to meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
It's 2 minutes past 9.
News Talk weather.
Generally cloudy tonight with more rain and drizzle, turning patchier overnight. Mist and fog in the hills and on the coasts with lows of 5 to 8 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Irish strikers socially distancing themselves from the score sheet for most of 2020. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Now, welcome along to the Football Show. Later on, we'll bring you Vinny Perth. He was on commentary for us yesterday from Old Trafford. Nathan Murphy alongside him, and chatted to Vinny afterwards about the situation at Dundalk, which is obviously interesting. They need to replace their management team all of a sudden, so we'll bring you that later on. At Elland Road, it's Leeds 0, Liverpool 1. Sadio Mane with the Liverpool goal. 46 minutes on the clock. Second half has just started. We have much to discuss with Pat Nevin. How you doing?
I'm absolutely frazzled. That's why I'm
overstimulated, frazzled.
My head's bursting, honestly. I don't know where I'm going just now.
Yeah.
I've been. I was down at doing the Chelsea game, Man City game, which was a big enough story in itself. And the next day I was at the Arsenal versus Fulham game, which is exciting because 7 minutes into injury time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing Chelsea tomorrow against. I'm down there for their game against Brighton, and none of that matters.
No.
You just think the bizarre world where Jose Mourinho getting sacked is hardly a story.
I know.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary way it's gone in the last couple of days.
We'll have to make a point to get to Mourinho, or to set aside a few minutes at the end of this chat for Mourinho, because there's every chance we'll run out of time. Monday Night Football seemed like an extraordinary old occasion. I don't know, did you watch much of it? But just to give people a sense of the tone as we kick off our conversation, Dave Jones came on and evoked Prince William quotes and everything else, and it was real state of the nation stuff here. And then Gary Neville, not surprisingly, if you saw him yesterday, he was every bit as angry, I think is the best word, as he was yesterday this evening. So here's a little sense of Gary Neville, Pat, on Monday Night Football tonight.
It's difficult not to get emotional and feel sick. But honestly, you've got a right to your MPs, you've got your local football clubs, you've got a right. Everybody's got to come behind this. Pundits for BBC, ITV, BT Sport, forget allegiances. Forget who you support. We have got to come together to stop this proposal. This is an attack on everything that's been important in this country. Football has helped in the last 10 months in the midst of a pandemic more than ever keep people going. And they're trying to take it away from us. I feel slightly complicit. I've stayed pretty quiet in terms of the Glazer family over the years. Stayed pretty quiet because I've thought when the club were taken over as a PLC that you knew it could be bought and it was out of the control of players, of fans, of everybody. I believe in a free market, generally in life. And I've always thought, what's the answer to the Glazers? Who takes them out? Russia, China, state money for the 2 or 3 billion quid it would need. And I've stayed quiet on the basis that it's still Manchester United. I can still go and watch the lads play. I can be happy and I can be sad. I'm still watching football in this country. If they take dividends out, all right, it's dividends. I can live with it slightly. But what I can't live with is attacking every single football fan in this country. They have stepped over the mark. They are scavengers. And they need booting out of this football club and they need booting out of this country. And we have got to come together now. It might be too late. There'll be people at Manchester United, fans who were arguing 15 years ago, who will say, it's too late. It's never too late. We have got to stop this. It is absolutely critical we do.
Gary Neville this evening on Monday Night Football, call to arms there. Did you watch that hour, Pat?
No, I was busy doing other interviews myself for other organisations.
Yeah.
So you don't. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of happy not to listen to what other people say, because you have your own viewpoints on it and your own position on it, and it's kind of easy to be swayed and join in what becomes the norm. You have to have your own open viewpoints and your own reasons why you say and why you think actually things happen. The anger, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty happy there's so much anger about, because football would have been gone had people not been angry about it. I can remember being roughly that angry when the Premier League started. I felt that way about the Premier League.
Right.
I was gutted with it. I thought, you slime balls, you're just kicking all those other clubs out of the way, and you're going to take the lion's share of the money, and they're going to be left in the gutter to try and survive in some difficult way. Yeah, I was right. It's no different now, is it? That sounds exactly what is happening now, but only on a world scale.
Yeah.
And, we've kind of, that's the glazing over that I would feel slightly uncomfortable about. So, yeah, it's annoying, it's infuriating, it's nothing got to do with football. Football is a pure business of what's happening just now, or what they're trying to do just now. If indeed they are trying to do what we think they're trying to do, which I'm not absolutely convinced by. I still think it could be a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
They want to get more money out of UEFA. They want to get the Champions League working in their way. And this is a massive, this is the biggest game of poker you've ever seen. And by the way, they've just thrown everything in the first hand, massive amount in the first hand. Because when you look at a variety of things, of the legality of it, of the people they haven't talked to yet. I mean, honestly, I know the power of the unions. I know the power of the players' union. I know the power of PFA, FIFPro. And now you spoke to them. I mean, what are you thinking about? These are the guys that's the members. Would you do that with any organisation? I mean, going back to the newspapers it was at the 80s in the UK, you end up having riots on the street, etc., because you try to dump that and not going through the correct channels, or even make some semblance of an effort at going through the channels. So that's just one area. When you go into the legal ramifications of it, it's mental, it's bizarre. And by the way, anyone who tells you they understand it is lying, because they don't. Footballers are wealthy just now. Tell you what, players are going to be a lot wealthier over the next wee while. They're going to make some amount of money. I talk about that side of it, because see all the other sides of it, where we're all angry, and the fans are angry, and everyone who loves the game's angry, and all that sort of stuff. It's okay, that's part, I've done that, and I feel that. But where's that going to get us? I want to know why they're doing it. Why are you doing it now? Because it's easy to say, it's just greed. Yeah, it's just greed. They're meant to want some of them, so why are you doing it if you... It must be other things on top of that. It must be other things on top of that. And I have just got a suspicion that from within that group, there's not one reasoning. There's a good number of reasonings for it. Some of them are not well thought out. Some of them are actually quite well thought out, and actually are, although I disagree with them intently, I actually partially understand them. Can I give you one example?
Please, give us a few.
Right, Barcelona. Have a look at their accounts for a while.
Yeah. Barcelona, I guess, yeah.
Net, right, so, and by the way, see if you're going to get any good again, you're going to have to go and spend that amount again. You're not getting that money. And by the way, the only way to get it, you can't even get it if you win the Champions League. You're not getting it that way.
Well, as a brief interruption, sorry, just to put this in context, just as a signing up fee, let alone the 4 billion they carve up every year thereafter, just as a signing up fee, they all get 350 million up front. Bayern, for winning the Champions League last year, got 90 million.
Exactly. And this is the point. So there's no point in shouting and bawling and screaming, but I think you must put yourself in their position so you understand the absolute reasons for doing it. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to say it's for the good of the game and it'll be a special competition. All that stuff, right? Just blanket, right? You need to understand the reason why people are doing things. And of course, it's the economy, stupid, right? That's always the answer. But why is it the answer? So if you're Barcelona, what do? So you're going to have to get out of this. Well, to get out of it is unthinkable, other than you go absolutely mental down this direction, right? So you've got yourself out of troubles. You've actually now saved yourself that you don't have to go and qualify anymore. You're secure in this little bubble, and there's no problems anymore. If you don't do that, you're up against sovereign states who you cannot fight against financially, and you're stuffed, right? So what's your other options? Put yourself in that position. What's your options? Your option is to go and say, hello, China, anybody want to buy a club? You know, or else you go, you look at Roman Abramovich, he can't stay with these other ones. So it's an amazing amount of money that you have to get there. So if the likes of Barcelona don't do this, don't do something extreme, they could be gone, and certainly gone in the absolute upper echelons. They're a world-renowned club. You've got a huge fan base. It's all secondary.
Yeah.
And what if Real Madrid and all the others started up this Super League, and Barcelona, who we all thought were this purest of pure clubs, decided to say no? They're stuffed, because if all the money goes there, they're even worse position, unless they decide to redesign themselves as a more normal club, which, of course, I don't think the fans would accept either.
Yeah.
So go inside every single club and think why. I don't know the inside of Chelsea. By the way, I would think below chairman, chief exec and owner level, I don't think anyone in the clubs knows what the hell's going on. I don't think they do. I think this is so tiny little strata of the upper echelon that's doing this. And whether they've taken good enough advice from various areas, who knows? It doesn't sound like it to me. But you look at someone like, I say Chelsea, but I don't know what's going on there. What happens if something happened to Roman Abramovich tomorrow? What happens to that club? I mean, in all seriousness, what actually happens? It is frightening, isn't it? If you are in charge of that, or try to run that, or try to keep that going to any sort of level, it's wild, man, what could happen. So that's just two off the top of my head. You could go through others and think, and the other one is, if you're the classic left, you're the guy standing on the platform when the train leaves, kind of thing, right? That stuff as well. Don't think, oh, it's just greed, and close your mind. And don't just go pure anger either. Try and understand it, because you'll not beat these people unless you understand where they're coming from. I think there's a lot of desperation there.
Oh, totally.
But I also think there's a big poker game.
Yeah, I agree as well. I can't get that angry about it, because I do think it's a poker game. And I do think ultimately UEFA and the Dirty Dozen, as Alexander Sefrin has called them, will sit down, and I wouldn't be surprised if these 12 and maybe one or two others have guaranteed places in the new expanded Champions League. Like, the big news today was that the current new Champions League reforms mean that there are 2 places held back for teams who don't qualify automatically. You know, that's kind of interesting that already in their back pocket, UEFA are having to acknowledge that, okay, a Man United or a Juventus or one of the big boys with lots of big fan base, Barcelona, have a horror season. Look, we'll sneak you in the Champions League in this new format. That's kind of interesting that's happened. So I suspect that's the middle ground they're all heading to, because it's very clear Man City are fine and PSG are fine, and most of the others are kind of crippled by this arms race that they can't keep up with. So they're desperate and they're happy to go along with this. And the Americans are like, hang on, how are we meant to organise our business when we don't know if we have 25% of our revenue until the top 4 places are guaranteed? I mean, they come from a different world where, relegation in John Henry's world and the Glazers' world is not making the Champions League. Like, this is the relegation they're talking about, not the Premier League. So, all the different interests are swirling around for sure. So, I mean, how does the game of poker end? Like, I presume Premier League aren't going to kick them out, surely. UEFA.
I'm supposed to go to the Chelsea Real Madrid game next week. I don't know if I'm going yet. Because you just no idea, because they're talking about kicking.
Well, that could happen Friday, Friday.
Yeah.
The Danish UEFA member Jesper Molloy says Chelsea, Man City, Real Madrid out of the Champions League Friday. Same for Arsenal, Man United in the Europa League. So that's swirling. Apparently the threat of banning them from international football for Euro 2020 will not hold up. So Euro 2020 is safe. And then, well, I guess Qatar and the courts is a different matter. If they want to keep them out of the World Cup, who knows?
Do you know someone pulls out a knife, you pull out a knife, or they pull out a gun, you pull out a gun. Someone pulls out a nuclear warhead, you pull out a nuclear warhead. That's where we are. The thing is, they've not gone through the steps first. They've just gone straight nuclear. Yeah. And that's where we are. And that's what's so shocking about it. In a way, you almost feel, and I don't know if they're this clever, they've thought, oh, let's skip all those other steps and just let's get to the business end of this argument and go as extreme as you possibly can. The problem with these kind of nuclear standoffs, somebody better back down and someone better blink at some point in time. Because if they don't, the destruction that could happen around it is extraordinary to the entire world game of football. It is absolutely unthinkable and extraordinary what could actually happen to it. The amount of people I've talked to or listened to, or the consideration of what I think could happen, it doesn't bear thinking about. It really doesn't bear thinking about.
So give me a sense of that, because this is, and prepared to be shot down, I'm sure, but like the experience, for instance, of an Irish fan who in the main supports United or Liverpool and maybe one of the other big six that are moving, their day-to-day experience of supporting the club is not going to change. They'll still watch Champions League and the Super League, they'll get better games, they'll hopefully still be in the Premier League, and that's all fine. They're talking about...
You say that.
Yeah, so go on, hit me. What's the devastation?
Well, what if they're not allowed in the Champions League and it's only the Super League, and then the Premier League say, right, we're not having it, and the Premier League no, get out. Premier League say no, get out. This happened to me oddly enough, and in a much smaller way. It felt big at the time, but it was a much smaller way. I was in Scotland, and I was the chief executive at Motherwell, right? And Celtic and Rangers told everybody they wanted to move to England. And I sat there in the meeting with the other 10 saying, tell them to get stuff done. Tell them to go. Like, what if they go? They're going nowhere. They've nowhere to go. England won't touch them with a barge pole. I happen to have some contacts down there.
Right.
They're going nowhere. We have actually got a bigger gun than them just now. We just don't know it. And are we going to be brave enough to do this? Because what happens if they do go? Where are they going to go? Right? You go to Belgium or something like that? All right, on you go. What will our league become? Now, please do not take this personally, but it was just the phrase that was used at the time. We will become like the League of Ireland, i.e. partially semi-professional, etc. And I said, well, you don't know. But is it actually any worse than you are at the moment? And where you could be if you go to what they want, actually, because they wanted something like 95% of all television monies just to stay. In the end, I just said, no, still a minute. It doesn't matter. Because there comes to a point where I've actually got nothing to lose. And I actually think that's where the Premier League are just now.
Right.
You lose those top six and they go and play in the Super League and then throw in a kind of half team for your Premier League and don't really care about it because it isn't getting them qualification for anywhere, then their product, it's not dead, but it's completely diminished. And if television companies then go and follow the Super League and don't follow the Premier League and don't give them the same monies, the Premier League might as well just say, get stuffed, get lost. They might as well say it. Because I actually don't think they'll have that much to lose. What do you want? Man United's B team or just tell Man United to go and get lost?
Well, it's an interesting point. I mean, Man United's B team will still be pretty damn good if they're getting 350 million and then carving up the 3-4 billion.
Will you do that? Have you ever seen football work like that? What you do is it gets top heavy and everything goes top heavy. You look at the money that's been spent on all the squads just now. Some of them still haven't enough players.
Yeah.
Have a look at the money they're spending.
Yeah.
Have a look at Barcelona. The money they're spending, and have a look at when 3 or 4 guys get injured. What you've got, it just gets top heavy. It's the nature of that beast, and that's exactly what they do. So
you think that if it comes to, and this for me, this could be the real deciding issue, if it comes to Premier League sitting across the table from these 6 and say the other 14 clubs are there, you think the 6 blink first? You think they can't risk being turfed out?
I don't know who's brave enough. I don't know. That's the point I'm making. The 6 might blink, the 14 might blink. Nightmare scenario, neither does. And that's a possibility. And that is the horror, you know, and it's back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. You're thinking, somebody better blink here, because we're all going to get stuffed if they don't. And that's why, you know, for mutual self-interest, they probably will. They'll find a way. There'll be a backdoor that they'll find a way of doing it. But that's a long way down the line. We've got a lot of stuff to go through before we get to that point. Just all the stuff that we're going to have to go through, and all the name calling, and all the vicious stuff, and all the legal writs that are going to happen over the next wee while.
Yeah,
we're going to have to go through all that first. And I follow it, and I'm sure we all follow it. But I want to know where we end up after this. And I think you and I are probably quite close together here. I think we'll end up with those big clubs get a bit more than they have at the moment from the Champions League, and move on.
Well, in 2018, I mean, Scudamore gave the top 6 a bigger share of the TV money, you know, and so they're used to kind of getting their way, and they're now at a point where they're in the habit of others acknowledging, well, we're the main show in town, we're bringing in all the eyeballs, so we should start getting some more money. There was one last point before I wanted to hit on Mourinho, and so look, this is in terms of like football is for the fans and all these banners, like Leeds United came out tonight in like football is for the fans t-shirts, and the fans are protesting and they're talking about how our game is being stolen. How would this situation, as proposed by the European Super League, change the lives of fans at all? Like, fans are already being screwed. You know, Sky Sports led the charge over the last 2 days and charged fans their 60, 70, 80 euro per month for the privilege of watching them do so. Fixtures and kick-off times are at stupid o'clock for fans travelling on a Tuesday evening from one end of the country to another. Tickets are going up. Increasingly, tourists are filling Premier League grounds. Young people can't afford to go to games. It's one of the reasons atmospheres aren't as good. Like, this notion that fans had it pretty good up until now, I mean, that ship has sailed a long time ago. Genuinely, apart from maybe like an Everton trying to build this stadium with dreams of getting into the Champions League and make it big, and Leicester having to look at Arsenal saying, you know, thanks for everything the last couple of years, Leicester, we're going to head back into Europe now. Aside from those kind of couple of unique sets of fans like the Leicesters or whatever, or Everton, like how is this bad for fans? How is like the fans' life transformed by this happening?
I think the fans now know that they don't count anywhere near as much as they thought they did.
But how could they think they counted?
No, they thought they counted a bit. And you go to any of the big grounds and they're passionate. It's their club. Every fan will tell you it's our club. And there's guys up the top of the club saying, no, it's not, it's ours. We'll do what we like with it. What they need to figure out, what they need to understand now is, right, it's just a numbers game, right? It's purely a numbers game. It's a finance numbers game. If the fans here aren't getting treated particularly well, they can either like it or lump it. Where is the real money? Well, the real money's in China. Yeah. The real money's in India. It's in the Americas. It's those global eyes. Now, this product, and excuse me for talking in their language, but I was schooled in it. This product isn't as good when it hasn't got those fans, or that noise, or that atmosphere. They might have to pipe in the noise like we are at the moment. So it becomes sellable for those other markets. When you consider the size of those markets, and when you do the sums in those markets, and you do that in the consideration that those clubs are frightened that they can't actually hang on to this Ferrari that's roaring away from them. If you look at it in those terms, you realise the fans are important. Yeah. But it's the ones in Africa and it's the ones in China.
Sure.
It's those ones, because there's billions of them.
And which fans here have more right to feel disenfranchised? Like, are you saying Liverpool fans or United fans feel like, oh, they've betrayed me here?
Can I say one thing? And this is the love and the joy of football. Yeah. And it's not worked great. There's always a team for you. You know, if you don't like Manchester United, there's that other team that set up out of the ashes. Sure. They said, refused to do it. If you
sorry, I got that. I got that. This leverage buyout and the Glazers have milked the club and they're everything that's wrong. So, but do you, when you're seeing all the banners now, football is for the fans, like have Man United fans been betrayed or Liverpool fans been betrayed by this European Super League? I don't really get that.
Well, the thing is, they have been, if what they are sold is then a pub. It's actually this sterile, stale, unchanging system that they go and play the same teams time after time after time after time. And then the product that they really enjoyed, the domestic one, is some really thin gruel, and they don't enjoy it anymore. That's when you're stuffed. That's when, and then, by the way, you're still expected to turn up in your 30 and 40 and 50,000s and go mad. It's something that's quite clearly been given to you as second class, and you've spent your money on this. Okay,
so the betrayal is what it does to the domestic game.
Yeah, I think it kills. I think it has a real chance of doing that. And by the other betrayal is if you are of any national persuasion at all, what it could do to the international game as well. I mean, that's a whole different thing. So there's a whole bunch of areas where I think the fan will not feel the same. There's a lot of people who are pushed to the edge at the moment. There's too much football in the telly as it is. I mean, I love football. I work in the thing. I can't watch all the games.
No, I hear you.
Wouldn't watch all the games. And that's somebody who's like bathed in it. And I can't, I'm not the only one. Everyone's very, very similar. We're in lockdown now, so we've been saturated with it. When we come out of this, it's a different world. And there's people who have done the Super League. If you tell me they know how to figure everything out, know how everything's going to go forward, well done, because you've not figured out the reaction to this. You got that first bit wrong.
That's true.
So there's a fair chance if you got other bits wrong down the line, which are only subjective guesses anyway.
I guess, look, maybe it's through the job or whatever, where you have to take more of a sober-eyed view of things. But I mean, this, for instance, this means more Liverpool business compared to their treatment of residents around Anfield. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, what illusion people operating under? I mean, it's like
little cliches like that. They sound like sometimes advertising campaigns. I've spent a lot of time working them up, and I'm not saying it absolutely is the case. And sometimes, like the People's Club at Everton, I go for it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I'm a wee bit wary of pithy slogans.
Yeah. Okay, look, we'll be talking about this for a while. That's the other thing. I mean, it's all shiny and exciting today. I mean, when we're into month 7 of this, it's going to feel like Brexit, Pat. So we'll park it there. Oh my God.
It's trying to think. I mean, I've been talking since the moment it came. I've been talking about it, and right at the start, there's quite a few things I was saying. I thought that's quite original. I don't think anyone said that. Quite a few things, my angles on it, and there's no way I'm going to be able to keep it up, mate.
No.
It's going to be, and so everything's going to be taken to every little point. But what's going to be intriguing? I'll tell you what's intriguing next. They're going to have to pick at the 14 or whatever. No, the 12. They're going to have to pick it.
Divide and conquer.
See if you pick one away.
Yeah. And
that just falls away. There's a crumbling state there.
Well, it's interesting. Philippe Auclair was on earlier, and he reckoned Barcelona are already wavering. Now, I had thought, given their financial situation, they'd be front of the queue. So who knows? Who knows what will happen?
Yeah, that's what happens in these things.
Yeah.
Because unless you've got a whole bunch of people who have got exactly the same needs, thoughts, feelings about it, and that's not the case. It's 100% not the case. Unless that is the case. And some were very, very less keen on being involved up front, and not saying they were dragged into it, but they felt as if they couldn't not do it in case they missed out. You just need one of them to crumble and the whole thing will look much, much weaker.
Jose, the timing of this is fascinating. Week of the Cup final. What does that suggest to you?
Well, first of all, I can remember your first question to me when he took over at Spurs. And my phrase was, well, that's a marriage made in hell.
I mean, they did well to get 17 months.
Just nothing about it felt right. The style of the club, the style of the manager, the owners, nothing was right. And it's a matter of time, but it'll be entertaining. It wasn't actually as entertaining. The timing is vicious. Is absolutely vicious, because what really is to be gained? Probably not going to get Champions League. There's a chance of it, but a new guy coming in, it's a big old lift he has to give to them. But to do it the 6 days, is it, before the cup final?
Yeah.
That's twisting the knife. I mean, in any other situation, you would give the person a cup final because they got the team to the cup final.
Does it suggest like a blazing row or something? I was wondering.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't need to be a blazing row. It can be something that's been poisoned and is growing slowly but surely, so the whole thing feels poisoned. But absolutely the case that, you know, will they be better prepared without Jose Mourinho? I think that's probably unlikely. But to do it before a cup final, I think that's an extraordinary slap in the face. Has been awfully kind about it. That is a real stab.
Okay. There's vindictiveness in that.
He feels as if there's a kind of nastiness about that as well. But hey, Jose isn't always easy. Isn't always easiest guy to work with. So maybe they'll feel they've got a reason to get back at him. But it was extraordinary. I thought that was extraordinary timing. Absolutely extraordinary. We've seen some bad timing in football the last day or two, but we've seen some bad timing in football, but that was pretty vicious.
Yeah. Where's his stock now then? Where's he going to pitch up, do you think?
Funny, I was thinking that today as well. You know, in normal times you'll get another European club that will get, Spurs, Leeds just hit the bar, can't believe it. 9 yards out, they're 10 yards out. By the way, is everyone apart from Liverpool and some Liverpool fans actually supporting Leeds tonight?
Oh, big time. I tweeted I hope they win 5-0 tonight, and it was more of a tongue-in-cheek thing, and honestly the vitriol coming back, I deleted the tweet. Oh my God, it's like, how dare you, Klopp and the players have done nothing, that's childish and petty and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, you're not saying a thing against Klopp and the players, you're saying a thing about...
I would have thought that was fairly obvious, but you know what, Pat, on Twitter... So I deleted that. I was like, I'm not reading these notifications for the next 3 hours.
Shocked me strangely.
Yeah.
Dogs abuse on Twitter. I tried to have a very reasoned debate on BBC Breakfast TV this morning, and then because somebody will just completely take it wrong. Why are you not furiously angry? You're on their side.
Yeah.
Well, you're not actually listening, are you? but you're not going to get everyone on your side at Twitter. Having said that, they like the album covers in the background. We'll see that.
Well, there's that. So Jose's stock then, is he European Super League level? I mean, that's
no, absolutely not. But then, if these clubs feel as if that's what you have to do, you know, to get a winner. But does it matter if you're not a winner? You're not going to get relegated anyway, so who cares? You're already thinking that way, and it may never happen, but you're already thinking, who cares? That's a cushy wee number, that one. You know, paid an absolute fortune. You ain't getting relegated. Just enjoy yourself. It's just that none of it makes sense. Jose, hey, I'm not saying Atletico Madrid, but, you know, just
that tier
2 or 3 down from, you know, the top team or two in a European country. You know, he did well, very, very well in Italy. I'm sure there's a couple of teams there that would be interested in taking him again, and I'm sure he would go there too.
By the way, as I let you go, Leeds. Oh, good save, in fairness. No. I started reading this yesterday.
You started?
Yes. When is this out, by the way? I'm holding up Pat Nevin's book, everyone, The Accidental Footballer, a memoir.
Yeah, it was delayed. It was supposed to be out in March, but because of COVID, we have to keep it till the 20th of May. So
okay, good. Gives me a bit of time.
It's out the 20th of May. So by the way, you've got the softback cover. I'll send you a hardback one as well.
No, you're fine. This is good. It's easier to carry around. Don't worry about that. Great. Well, we'll have to kind of set aside a football hour to go through this. I got the highlighter out already and stuff. So.
Oh, great. I would absolutely love to. I'd be honoured to do that.
Yes, brilliant. Okay. Listen, we'll let you go. Thanks so much.
Absolute pleasure. See you soon.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
On the final episode of Season 2 of Future of Work, it's all about management.
We examine how management has changed during the pandemic, how performance can be measured during working from home, and how to keep your staff motivated without face-to-face contact.
Colin Foster from the Irish Management Institute will share his tips for managers, while David McRedmond, the CEO of On Post, will tell us about his long and distinguished career in management.
Future of Work with Jess Kelly and Gavin McLaughlin.
Thanks to VHI Healthcare.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now on newstalk.com or on the Newstalk app.
If I learned one thing in the last year, it's that falling into debt can happen to anyone. Luckily, I heard about the ISI, the Insolvency Service of Ireland. Their professional advisors can help you restructure or even write off your debt. The first thing they said to me was, every debt problem has a solution. I can still feel the relief. So if you're worried, visit their website backontrack.ie or free text Get Help to 50015.
The ISI. Together, we'll get you back on track.
Guaranteed Irish business members are working hard to support jobs, communities and help our economy recover and prosper beyond COVID and Brexit.
Black Knight added new web hosting